Hello and welcome to my channel, I Win to Lose Gaming. Alright, so this video took way longer than I would have liked, all just to review a 5-star weapon that literally 10 of you will end up getting. Regardless, whether you feel FOMO for this weapon or the reassurance that you further don't want it, hopefully you'll still learn something new in this video. Will the Polar Star be the star of the show, or will it be worse than already existing options? Let's quickly go over the basics of this weapon. At Refinement 1, this weapon always provides 12% bonus damage to elemental skill damage and elemental burst damage. You can get up to 4 stacks on this thing. Normal attacks hitting an enemy, charge attacks hitting an enemy, elemental skill hitting an enemy, and the burst hitting an enemy will all add a stack. Each stack is independent of the others and each stack lasts 12 seconds. Fortunately for bow users, you can use a quick basic attack followed by a quick charge attack. Simply click and release the mouse for a normal attack, then click and hold the mouse briefly for a quick charge attack. Once you get it down, it generally takes less than a second or so to execute. This provides you with 2 stacks very quickly, and will be used throughout this video. However, I do find it clunky and often disruptive to the normal flow of gameplay. Now obviously this weapon was designed for Childe's gameplay, so let's start off with him. Childe is literally the only archer in this game that will actually fully utilize normal attack damage, charge attack damage, skill damage, and burst damage during normal gameplay. What this means is that for literally any other character in the game, at least one of those stacks is suboptimal to include in a standard rotation for that character. So we'll start with Childe because this bow has potential on him. Let's go harass our local volunteers as usual, the Pyro and Cryo Regiswines. First we have the Rust at Refinement 1, first the Skyward Harp at Refinement 5, first the Thundering Pulse at Refinement 5. Sadly for the Rust and Thundering Pulse, they need to rely on suboptimal in terms of DPS combo N5CA because of the increase in their normal attack damage. Regardless, here we can see that the Thundering Pulse cleared this the fastest. Next we have the Polar Star at Refinement 1 and at Refinement 5. For the Polar Star, you want to start off by hitting the enemy with Childe's E activation, then hit the enemy with N1C for 2 quick stacks, and then use his burst with 3 stacks up, which will finally provide him with all 4 stacks. This is of course if you want to maximize Childe's melee attack damage with the Polar Star. We can see here that at Refinement 1, this weapon is already outperforming a Refinement 5 Skyward Harp for his melee attack damage. At Refinement 5, this weapon is clearly Childe's best new bow for his melee attack damage, outperforming even the Thundering Pulse. Let's compare some theory crafting that I did to this in-game showcase. Looking at this chart of maximized N3C with 1 Riptide damage, we can see that the Polar Star is 61% stronger than the Rust at Refinement 1. This checks out for our in-game showcase as well. We can also see that the Polar Star's Riptide damage is sky high compared to the other weapons, being 38% stronger than even a Refinement 5 Thundering Pulse, and 89% stronger than a Refinement 1 Rust. As such, this bow puts everything else to shame when it comes to Childe's Riptide damage, and his melee damage as well. Next we have Childe's nuke build. For this nuke comparison, we'll be doing the following combo over and over again. We also only care about crits because the whole point of a nuke build is to crit fish until the nuke happens. Starting with the Windbloom Ode, it managed to do 994,901 damage. This will be your baseline. Next let's use the Skyward Harp, which ended up doing 1,084,733 damage, a 9% increase from the Windbloom Ode. And now for the Polar Star. Remember the click hold click to gain 2 stacks from earlier? We want to avoid using his normal attack charge attack during melee stance because that will apply Hydro and thus ruin the combo. So instead we have to do that click hold click thing in order to get 2 additional stacks. 1,004,693 damage nuke with a Refinement 1 Polar Star and with 3 stacks on the Polar Star. And now with a Refinement 5 Polar Star, doing the same combo did 1,098,645 damage, a rather modest increase in damage compared to a Refinement 1 Polar Star. But we're not done yet. Last but not least, we have the Thundering Pulse, which ended up doing 1,216,932 damage. Here are the results. We can see here that the crit rate substat doesn't actually increase the damage of the nuke itself, but simply just provides more consistency. Here is a damage maximized chart for crit fishing for a Childe nuke. Feel free to pause to take a closer look, but funnily enough, Childe is unable to use his burst with all 4 stacks up, as the hit that provides the stack when you use his burst does not gain the damage boot. However, going back to his melee damage, if there's ever a situation in the future where Riptide damage will be more valuable than Childe's nuke damage, or just him being a Hydro bot for Xiangling, the Polar Star is going to be by far Childe's best option for his melee and Riptide damage. Despite Childe not being able to use all 4 stacks for his entire kit, aka his burst, there is one character in the game that can take full advantage of the bonus damage and the 4-stack attack buff from the Polar Star. That character is Fischl. That's right, we have another great weapon for Fischl to add to her already too long list of great weapons. Anyway, by using the click hold click for 2 stacks and then using Oz, Oz will snapshot 2 stacks. However, Fischl herself will have 3 stacks since Oz did elemental damage. Then by using her burst, and since Oz is redeployed at the end of Fischl's burst, Oz will have all 4 stacks of the attack buff, as well as the built-in bonus elemental skill damage. We can see that Oz was doing 8,012 damage with 2 stacks, and now he's doing 9,584 damage at 4 stacks. The Polar Star is, if you don't mind doing the click hold click for 2 stacks, Fischl's new best in slot bow for Oz's damage. Alright, so that pretty much just leaves Ganyu as a good character for using this bow. This bow is decent on her, but overall I still recommend the Amos bow. However, this bow does provide the strongest potential burst damage for Ganyu. But again, Ganyu really likes her big charge shot damage numbers, and it feels suboptimal to use a normal attack on Ganyu for a stack on this weapon. You also turn Ganyu's already long burst into a much longer burst if you want those juicy 3 stacks on a burst by using click, hold E, and E prior to using her burst. Nonetheless, this is a viable weapon on Ganyu. So sorry this video was a bit rushed. All in all, this is a reasonable bow if you don't mind the extra frames spent building stacks in certain situations. It is now the best in slot option for Childe's melee and Riptide damage, and a decent option for Childe's nuke damage. This bow is the best option for Ganyu's burst damage, but falls far behind the Amos bow for Ganyu's charge shot damage, which is more important for Ganyu in my opinion. And lastly, with some stack building, this bow provides Fischl the most Oz damage in the game. Also, I regularly make Genshin Impact videos ranging from Caesar showcases, DPS showdowns, guide videos, and more. So be sure to smash the subscribe button as it's the best and easiest way for you to support my work. Also, don't forget to like the video and leave a comment for the YouTube algorithm. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Want to Lose, signing out.